Hi there, welcome back to meetrabbits.org. So as we can see, I haven't really made a whole lot of progress in organizing the rabbit barn, and that is because we had some unseasonably warm weather and the weather was holding well, so we decided to start painting the house while we still had some fall weather. This siding was pretty dried out. You can see on the end, this is not painted because we're actually going to replace all of that siding on that end. We've got it on order. We found it from a local mill, so that's great. So we decided to jump ahead and paint the house while the weather was holding. We were lucky that it was, which means I just haven't gotten in here to get my other cages in and to get things organized. What I have somehow seemed to inherited is my husband's bookshelf. This bookshelf just isn't fitting in the house. It's supposed to go to storage. Was on the porch. I went to a local farm to load up on some meat yesterday. That was about an hour's ride away. And because it was windy and the weather was blowing on the porch, this got moved into my rabbit shed. So clearly I need to make a little more priority effort of organizing the rabbit shed so that the infringement can end. So what have we got going? Like I said, not a heck of a lot. You know, the rabbits are in here, they're happy, but this is not accomplishing my goals at the moment for the rabbitry, which is to get them in their breeding cages and breeding. My husband did add some hook and eyes to these doors for me, which is really nice because now they can stay open all day long without blowing. So they're not a problem. And then, we have the hinges up on the top and bottom that just came on here. So those lock in for the day and the night, if I do them right. There we go. A little more elbow grease. So, every day I can open these up and we get some really good airflow through here. I can close them up at night, lock them all up. Started to get some of the extras put away. So these lofted spaces are going to be really nice for things like this, for the transport cages. They won't need to be down cluttering up the floor. I'll be able to put the nest boxes up there. I'm going to do something for a ladder so it'll be easy to pop up and get stuff up and down. I think, extra bags of grain will probably go up there. I probably won't keep a ton of extra hay around, probably, not like I did in the last place, but I had a full hay loft and, again, like we kind of had cooperative agreements with the local farmer until he stopped farming and stopped haying, where we used to just get hay in exchange for helping him out. So we always had a loft full of hay there, but honestly, it was more hay than I needed to keep around for the rabbits. And this is just fine. I can keep more than enough hay here for rabbits. I could easily keep a year's supply up here for the amount that I actually use. And it'll actually be a little better that way, buying and storing smaller quantities, because, some of that hay I had actually was getting on the old side for the use that we had. We went through it quickly when we had cows, but when it was just the rabbits on it, wagging a load of hay, that's actually too much to have in storage for a year. So, I'm not unhappy with that. And then, like I said, other space. So maybe one side will be like hay and grain storage, and maybe the other will be, the extra equipment, like the transport boxes, the nest boxes, and those sorts of things that I don't need all the time, but I do want to have in here and have on hand. What I'm thinking for arrangement in the shed here right now is to do something along the lines of, and I'm playing with these ideas because of the sizes of my cages, and I've taken some measurements, and I think I need to find my anal little graph paper pad and sketch some things out, or just get the cages in here and start futzing around and seeing what fits. But I'm pretty sure this back wall is going to be my grow out wall with the 24-inch cages. They'll fit well. I can fit most of I think I have like somewhere right around 20 of those. Most of those can go on there. And then I'm either going to do like does on one end and bucks on the other, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. Or I may do like does with a space and then bucks, and then maybe some of those other spare kind of transition cages on the bookcase wall once I get rid of the bookcase, because I'm really not happy about the bookcase being in here. These are the things that happen when you downsize and you're figuring out storage, and unfortunately the doorways were just I guess the doorways, the stairways was just too short to actually get this downstairs in the house. There's really not space for it upstairs in the house. And it actually is a nice piece of furniture with some sentimental value. My sisters, a couple of my brothers-in-law, 20 years ago actually made this and 2 other matching ones for my husband for his birthday, and we made them out of barn board from my sister's barn. So yeah, it's not as if I hate this bookcase. It just was made for a custom area 2 houses ago. So that custom area isn't at this house. So that, you know, that's all there is to it. It just needs a home. But that's what I'm thinking is kind of leaning towards doing does and bucks on one wall, as long as I can separate them enough that we don't have spraying, breeding through the wire, and those kinds of issues, just because it'll be easy to move them back and forth in breeding. And then I like to try and keep my grow outs in obvious cages so that when we're processing, there's no question to anybody who's handling rabbits, bringing them out, whether or not they're ones that are going to be processed that day. So, and then maybe that other wall, thinking maybe those kind of larger transition cages where I weaned them off to in groups and before they got separated down into singles, might do something like that. But like I said, I'm really gonna have to get in here with the cages and see what fits where without like blocking up windows too much that they can't be opened. It's not like the windows need to be open and shut every day. Usually I'm opening them more seasonally, like once they're open for the season, they're open. So as long as I can get to them a little bit to open, I'll probably be happy with that. And I'd still like to find an area for the setup of like where I had my scale and my paperwork and my records and things like that. I still want to maintain that, which may mean maybe not putting all of the cages that I own in here. It may just come down to that I have to work a little bit more with my cage numbers. Still plenty of space to do that. We'll see. One thing that, and it's not major, but it is just a little note I think is worth mentioning, is that when we bought this, it's 12 by 16, 10 by 16. And that's exterior dimensions. So you need to keep in mind that you actually lose a little bit on the interior dimensions. So we were like, oh, we have a 16-foot wall. No, we don't, because we're losing to the studs 2 inches on each side. And then same on the other wall width. So where I was like, oh, you know, did the math on the 2-inch cages fitting on the 16-inch wall, 16-foot wall, just got to take out a little bit and keep in mind that those are, your interior dimensions are about actually 8 inches all around because of the framing on the floors. So just something to keep in mind. Like I said, not a major deal, but it does change just a little bit how the cages fit end to end. So that's it. That's where we're at. Hoping over the next couple days to finish my painting project, get in here, start arranging, start getting cages in here so that house furniture stops getting moved in here, and we'll go from there. Thanks for following along. I'm hoping to have something a little more fitted and interesting for you guys soon. Thanks for the continued comments of support and the ideas that everybody's been throwing out there. Appreciate them. And come back next time and see how we're going.